It was really amazing. Well, as I'm going through and taking pictures and I'm going into the blue bathroom, it was the 80s, guys. My dad's bathroom was all blue, tile to ceiling. And I'm going into my bathroom that had the golden faucets and the bidet. That was what my father envisioned as what the American dream was this kind of opulence, a bidet. I used to think it was like a water fountain. That's so funny. I can't say that I ever drank out of it, but I used to play in it and like float like rubber duckies. I didn't understand what the bidet was. But here's the thing. It was there. And this guy is saying, man, this guy was a great artist. This guy still has buildings if you're going to buy this house, these buildings still stand today. And he was telling me, but I knew. What I didn't tell him was that I was the guy's daughter. I didn't share that with him because I didn't want to color his opinion, nor did I know what I was going in there to hear. I wanted to just have that experience that I'm sharing with you. But he was telling me about the work my father had done and seeing it on Duck Key and all these other places and going to the Librarian Marathon and being able to see his signature archways and that he was renowned and respected. These are words I had never heard from somebody else. I understood it about my father. I'd seen articles about him in the paper. I'd been to the work sites as he was building. I'd watched him pour the concrete. I'd watched him build his American dream. But I didn't know that he was that revered, and it was moving to me because this guy was being candid because he didn't know that I was the daughter of the man that he was talking about. He didn't tell me this guy was an immigrant. He didn't tell me this guy was black. He didn't tell me that this guy came into this country and earned his citizenship. He said, this man has left a legacy in this town, and he's built these structures, these towers, these buildings, these homes that still keep people warm, that still protect people to this day. And you might buy this one. And that is the promise of the American dream. That is the promise of what can happen when you come into a country, no matter where you're from or who you are. That's what America offers us. That's what we can have. Because that is, again, the American dream. And I will not let go of it because it is who we are. And as we enter what promises to be a tumultuous time as we're in transition is always tumultuous. Change is always uncomfortable. As we enter this tumultuous time, I want us to hold on to our principles, the principles that founded us, and know that we always weather the storm as Americans, and we weather it together. In times of tumult and flux, this is when we're at her best. I have seen it, and I am not letting that go. I don't care about the fear. I don't care about the things you hear. I care about what I know, the principles that bind us, and I know that we're going to go forward. And that brings us to practical tip number 4. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Right now, as we all may be, some of us may be happy, some of us may be not, but it just feels the world has felt scary for the past couple years overall. It doesn't matter which side you're on. And I was thinking about that this week, feeling the fear and doing it anyway. There are so many times in my life where I am terrified. I am a creative, as I've told you guys. I put myself out there a lot. And that means you put yourself out there for scrutiny, for judgment, for criticism, also for adulation and compliments. But you take a chance because you never know which one is coming back your way. And before I cater anything, as I will be doing tomorrow for 80 people, or I do something like stand here and talk to you guys on the radio, there's always that butterfly in my stomach. I don't think that I would be human if I didn't feel that fear. That's how we know we're alive, guys. That's how we know something new is coming and that we are about to shift. So that's really important. Feel that fear and do it anyway. The thing about fear is it can be immobilizing. It can have you stop dead in your tracks and make you question your very existence and make you question whether you're on the right path and make you question if you're even supposed to be here doing this at all. And that is fear's only job, is to put the brakes on. And that's why Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway is more than a book from the 90s. It's more than an adage that we hear bandied about at all these self-help conferences. It is a real thing that we are charged to do as humans, and now it's a real thing we'll be charged to do as Americans. We will move forward. A friend of mine in New Jersey shared a clip with me via Facebook, and it's one that you guys may have seen. It's of Steve Harvey, and it's a 2-minute clip, and if you can find it, I hope you take it, check it out. But he's talking about fear. And he's talking about feeling fear and jumping off of a cliff. And Steve Harvey is someone that's definitely in the zeitgeist. I have no feelings about him either way. But what I liked was the packaging of this message. He talked about looking around and seeing everybody having what seems to be a successful life. Oh, she's successful, or they've made it, or they've won at life, or they have money. And you're looking and you're standing at the top of this cliff. Kind of like if you're standing at the top of the tower and you're looking around and you're thinking, well, I don't have any of those things. And he talks about what it takes to get those things. And he says what it takes is to jump off the cliff. Well, I don't know that we all want to jump off cliffs. I know I certainly wouldn't. But in minor ways, every day, we all have a cliff. We all are faced with that decision. Do we jump into our dream? Do we jump into this thing that feels scary to us? Or do we stay stagnant? Do we not take the changes that the tower crumbling can bring us? Or do we move forward and decide to rebuild? Or do we sit there and cry over the pieces that are scattered around us? Or do we rebuild? Feel the fear and do it anyway. And he described on your descent down that you would crash into rocks sometimes, and you would scrape up your body and elbows, and you would tumble, and then you would free fall, and it would feel terrifying as your stomach would go up into your throat, and you would think, why did I do this? This doesn't feel like winning. This doesn't feel like I'm going to succeed. This feels like I'm plunging to my death. Feel the fear and do it anyway. And he said, eventually, what will happen is you'll be able to spread your wings, those figurative wings, and you'll catch the wind. And you'll go up a little bit, and you'll think, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And you'll take a look at the view, and you'll think, why hadn't I done this sooner? And you'll soon begin to be in the flow of life and that sweet air gliding towards your destiny, where you know that the chance you took and the leap you took was worth it. Feeling the fear and doing it anyway. I love that message. It's a message that I took to heart this summer. To begin my birthday every year, I try to push myself into something that I hate. Yep. I push myself into something that makes me totally uncomfortable. And this year, it was a looming lighthouse in St. Augustine. Black and white stripes ascending towards the heavens. I looked at it every time I'd went. I'd vacationed there with loved ones and thought, I'd like to climb that. It's always in the periphery whenever you're in St. Augustine. It's one of the things on the postcards. It's part of their whole terrorism scheme. Like, come to St. Augustine and get into this lighthouse. And so I saw it for years, that lighthouse. And I looked at myself and I said, well, Monette, you're a big girl. If you've seen my picture, you know. And I said, are you going to climb all those stairs, girl? Is that something you really want to do? And then forget about it. Once you climb the stairs, let's get into the real issue here. You're terrified of heights. You are like anxiety shaking, terrified of heights. And I thought about the last time I'd climbed that many stairs at one time while having a train of people behind me. And it was the Statue of Liberty, ironically enough. The very thing, the Statue of Liberty. When I was a teenager, I was younger, I was a little healthier, and I had climbed it with family, with that parade of people in that stifling heat. And I looked out and I saw what so many people saw when they were coming to Ellis Island. So many immigrants saw when they were here, beginning their American dream. That's the last time that I climbed those steps, was in that kind of really historic place, and in a watershed moment for me when I realized this is what it means to be here. This is what it felt like to be here. So I thought, okay, there's this lighthouse, and surely it's not as tall as the Statue of Liberty, but still you're a few years older, you got a little wear and tear. Are you going to make it? And if you make it, are you going to panic when you get up there? And I didn't know. And in the spirit of Steve Harvey and that message, and in the spirit of feeling the fear and doing it anyway, I said, what kind of year do you want? Because I believe that our birthdays are really our new year. It is an opportunity for us to begin anew and to really take things in the direction we want them to be in. And with that, I always say, challenge yourself at that moment. Challenge yourself, because that is the momentum that will carry you through the year. And so I bought my ticket and I stood at the base, wider at the base, narrow at the top. And I looked up those spiraling staircases and I thought, I've made a mistake. Maybe I can give my ticket away to somebody. Clearly this isn't for me. And put my hand on that railing that thousands of people have put their hands on. and I worried about the germs. Okay, so guys, I was in my head. To suffice it to say, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to hold the railing. I'm going to have to climb the steps. What if I can't breathe? There was no AC. P.S. It's Florida. P.S. It was stifling too. Similar to the Statue of Liberty. But I was assured by the docent at the bottom, it's so wonderful up top and it's 13 mile an hour breezes and it's just so refreshing. All you have to do is make it up the 219 steps. And to some of you, you may think nothing of it. Some of you may be in New York and think, that's a walk up to the first floor, no big deal. I thought 219 steps, surely I've lost my mind. But I climbed them. Halfway up, I started to panic. I looked down. I said, you know what? I can get down now. It's not so bad. I'm going to go down now. I told the person I was with, I'm going down. Thank you. It's been wonderful. And I told them, go ahead, go to the top, take pictures. It'll be great. And they didn't want to leave, but they did because they have to push on with their life. That's a key point here too. We got to get on with life. It doesn't matter what's going on around us. And I stood there and I heard my better angels whispering to me, Monette, you said you were going to do this. Monette, you've been wanting to do this for years. You're physically able to do it no matter what you think or how you doubt yourself. And even though you are in fear, keep going. And so I did. I climbed slowly, I climbed deliberately, but I kept climbing. And I finally got to the very narrow top and I thought, oh, I've done it. I rejoiced. I was so happy because I had physically surmounted the challenge. But as in life, there was always one more thing. I had to go outside on that open air balcony with no metal or glass between me and the ground, just a railing, an open air railing. And I thought, well, I've made it this far. I can say that I've climbed the lighthouse. I pushed myself and I've begun the momentum of my year. I'm going down now, but I couldn't because there were people behind me. There was a little crevice to the right of the doorway. Didn't go anywhere, but it was like a little hidey hole with a dead end. And I hid in there because I was terrified to go outside. I thought, surely I'm going to die. And so I didn't want to go. And I wedged myself in this little hole, having a mild panic attack, taking deep breaths, trying to calm myself down. A person came up behind me, a guy, and he said he wanted to go in there. And I thought, what do you want to go in here for? There's nothing in here. It's a dead end. But he wanted to go in there for the same reason I did, because he was scared. And with that, I had to move because that's life. You have to keep moving. I couldn't just have a fit and be petulant and say, you know what? I was here first. This is my hidey hole. I'm not going outside. I couldn't do that. I had to move because it was the courteous thing to do. The gentleman had asked me with fear in his eyes if he could see that hidey hole, not because he wanted to see it, and he didn't say it to me that way, but as an intuitive, I understood exactly why he wanted to see that hidey hole. And so I stepped 1 foot outside of the door. I didn't step out forward like a normal person because in this moment I was not rational. I stepped out facing the wall of the lighthouse. I was holding on and hugging this cylinder for my dear life because I thought, this is the only way that I'll do it. I'm out here now. I felt the winds around me. The docent upstairs said to me, it's wonderful. Isn't it 13 mile an hour winds? It's supposed to pick up later today. Oh my gosh, you should see the view. I had my eyes closed. The view I had was the inside of my head. It was the inside of my eyes. And she was trying to calmly talk me off the ledge of my heart and get me to be reasonable. But I shooed her away quietly. I was like, I'm okay. I'm just going to stand right here. I'd only moved, I thought, because this guy needed to have this, the hidey hole and the view of the hidey hole, which was nothing. And slowly I turned around and I was still hugging the wall like I was on a ledge. And I still had one eye open. The person I was with wanted to take a picture. I said, no one needs to see me like this right now, even though it would have been proof, which is interesting because later I had some friends ask me, well, you didn't take any pictures of yourself. How do we know you were really up there? I thought, girl, you didn't want to see me up there, but I was there. Trust me. I eventually walked out to the ledge and I put my hands very, 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 very tightly onto that railing. And I held on, standing back, like when you hug someone you don't really like. I was standing back like, I was going to protect myself from the fall. And I took one glance down and my breath caught in my chest and I thought, okay, that's enough. I've had the experience. And my better angels again whispered, as they often do, "It's okay, you're here now.